one more kind of solves both problems in both areas.
You know what, we were at a meeting in Preston a while ago with FEMA and DNR and Corps, and we specifically asked about the elevator, what else can you do in that area? And they started talking about this system just around the farmer's elevator buildings alone, you know, where there's some kind of a trigger mechanism when the water gets to a certain level, these little walls will pop up, and that is significant enough for insurance purposes to protect that major level there.
Right.
But then that would be something that would be specific to that individual business
Right.
to do for themselves if they chose to do that then.
Yeah, that's what we call it, even though that would be a structure, you know, kind of in the floodplain terminology, that would be one of the non-structural measures that we talked about, where it's not a big structure that the city would have, it would be, you know, it's implemented on an individual property owner basis, yeah.
I had visions of these walls popping up like,
Yeah.
you know, creating protective.
Yeah, or you
that
know,
would-
oftentimes what you do is you build a flood wall and then you have an opening and then you just seal off that
It
opening.
pushes the water somewhere else.
Yeah,
So we'd have to
that
make
would
sure
just
that doesn't.
make the problem worse for the, down by Hamels.
Or it could be a, you know, like a ring levee around those individual areas, you know, yeah, so there's other options, you know, we didn't, you know, since the city doesn't own that property, it's really hard to start looking at options there, like, well, you should raise this building up and put this ring levee around there, cause the city can't really do that.
Oh,
You know,
what's screwed up with the map, up at the fertilizer plant. If you're not getting flooded on the south side, that's the level of the floor, you're not getting flooded.
Yeah.
You're not getting water in those buildings, because there's that much foundation on the north side,
Okay.
sticking out of the ground. So
That's
if you're not
higher
getting,
than the
if you're not
adjacent.
getting flooded on the south side of the building,
Okay.
you're not getting flooded waters in that building.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
all
right
clear, right there.
Yeah, and see, that may not be reflected in the, in
So
what
those
we're
two
showing,
big, the two main buildings there,
Mhm.
you're not gonna get water in there if you're not getting it on the south side.
Okay.
So, the other buildings down below,
Mhm.
I mean, yeah,
Here?
they sit down, they're down inland for the.
Yeah,
But there you could move the machinery out if you had to.
In lowering, there isn't enough area, I suppose, to impact the water holding capacity by lowering the south side of the fertilizer plant,
no, probably not.
between that and the state trail.
We looked at swales. I told, you know, we played around with a scenario where we took the roads in the park and lowered them significantly, but there's utilities in the ground, so you can't do that. We looked at building holding retention ponds up in the north end. Yeah, I think we war gamed this pretty good. And I said the same thing, Mark, I said, you know, water-wise, even if you just put a swale between your buildings and let that water move off to the west, put a holding pond down there and put a pump down there, that should take care of it, but not according to the hydrology that they have to play around with. With that water up on the levees and all the water falling on the inside.
Yeah, and those you know, you're right, I think the measures that we're proposing may help protect these two buildings to the south. You know, it's hard to know for sure.
Yeah.
And again, I think, you know, I'm seeing two numbers here, so that's probably right, the floor is higher. But again, what FEMA goes by is the ground lowest, the lowest adjacent ground next to the building. So in a case like this, you know, if flood insurance isn't an issue, you know, you know, the contents of the building may be high and dry, but, you know, the water might be lapping up against the foundation, could be the case, so.
It wouldn't be that much concern.
Right. So, yeah, that's something we could probably look at, we've got those elevations and kind of comment on.
Cause we wanna get as many of these out
Yeah.
before they make map.
Yeah, and the trailer homes there, they would all be dry, it's just because the water is around the bottom of them, you know, FEMA considers that to be in the floodplain, so that's kinda how we have to report it, so.
So we can't get those out.
Not cheap, not
No.
without spending a couple $1,000,000.
Or by regrading the area, but then again, you know, it's hard for the city to do that project when they don't necessarily own the land in that whole area, so. And then you should excavate somewhere else, so you're not transferring, you know, losing storage and transferring the problem somewhere else.
And this area here, that was, the services were punched in there, pretty much makes that,
No, I had them run a scenario of digging a dry pond in that location and moving as much of that water over there as possible.
to the south and,
Doesn't work.
or straight to the
Yeah.
south.
It just doesn't.
So
work.
those lots won't, well,
No, they can be filled.
one of them,
You can elevate that, cause if you, it's not
You can
that,
elevate it,
yeah,
yeah.
they're not that far into the,
Right.
what are they? Less than
Yeah.
half a foot?
So, yeah,
You
maybe.
put the building pads up,
Right.
you're fine.
Yeah, and the increasing the flood storage, you know, this seems like a lot relative to this area here, but you gotta keep in mind that this is connected with the floodplain storage area over by Highway 43. So to lower that, say, a foot, you know, you need to do a lot of excavation here, because you gotta, you know, it's spreading all over that whole area. And that's where, you know, we had the idea, well, maybe we can do something locally here, you know, do some flood storage, kinda separate the two, and that might be beneficial, but, you know, we looked at, I don't know, a whole bunch, like I said, I bet we had at least 6 options, we probably had 10 options, we were just trying different things, and,
Trying to figure out a way to hold it and release it in stages to the east. But it just doesn't work.